Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 105. Happy Friday evening, everyone. I hope you're all having a great time. If you're out, if you're home, I hope you're chilled, relaxed, hanging out, nice and comfortable, because we are 3 days away from Santa Fe, folks. And 3 days from now, I will be broadcasting live from Santa Fe and seeing what the hell is going on there. Because we all know that there's been a veil of secrecy over Santa Fe from the very beginning. We hardly know anything about Santa Fe, and it's only come out in bits and pieces. There hasn't been like these huge exposés like they've done on New York or Florida or the Virgin Islands. For some reason, New Mexico seems to be in the background when everybody knows that Zorro Ranch was a house of horror. Okay, still has not been raided. There's just so many questions that I have that I don't seem to get the answers to anywhere. So with that said, I'm packing up all my stuff in my big fat yap, and I'm going to Santa Fe to shake some trees. Who knows what I'll find, folks, right? Who knows what I will come across when I'm there. I'm going to talk to a lot of the locals. I have a few interviews lined up with some people who have some knowledge of the case, who have, a bit of a working idea of what was going on down there, perhaps. So I'm very hopeful that those interviews will be fruitful and that we'll get some new information. And if not, even if we just get some more context to what we already know, that's totally fine with me. But I feel like it's been almost negligent on the part of a lot of these outlets for not reporting what truly was going on in New Mexico. Like, we don't even know if they were running the same scam in New Mexico that they were running in Palm Beach and in New York, with bringing in a young girl, grooming her, a high school age girl or younger, 14, 15, 13 maybe, bringing her in, getting her locked into the whole quote-unquote massage situation, and then sending her out to bring in other girls. We don't even know if that was occurring in New Mexico. Nobody's even talked about that yet. That's something that I'd like to get to the bottom of. That's something that I definitely have some questions about. And hopefully when I get there locally, I can get some answers. But at the very least, we're going to have some good footage, folks. We're going to have some fun. I'll tell you that much right now. I'm very excited about this trip. So with that said, we're going to jump into our article tonight. And our article is from the Daily News. The headline: Jeffrey Epstein's first victim was introduced to Donald Trump when she was 14. And this is according to a new lawsuit that was just filed today. The author of this article is Stephen Rex Brown. The article was published January 17th, 2020 at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you go ahead and click on the link when you see it in the description box and give it a look. There's some pictures in there, etc., etc. All right, on to the article, folks. A woman who says she was Jeffrey Epstein's first known victim claims in a new lawsuit that the multimillionaire sex offender, pedophile, introduced her to Donald Trump when she was 14, saying, "This is a good one, right?" What does that even mean? That's absolutely beyond the pale of disgusting to think about Epstein introducing a young girl like this to anybody. Trump, according to the suit against Epstein's estate, smiled and nodded in agreement. The woman filed the lawsuit Friday in Manhattan federal court under the pseudonym Jane Doe. Look, again, it cements the fact that Donald Trump was enabling Jeffrey Epstein when they were hanging out. All right, you can't hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody knows and everybody knew that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a good guy. Even if you didn't have any idea that he was trafficking in little girls, you knew that he was a scumbag. All right, all you have to do is take a look at what happened with Hoffenberg, at Bears and Stearns, etc., etc. Trump and Epstein both chuckled, and Doe felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. The lawsuit reads, "The encounter happened in the mid-90s at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Florida resort," court docs said. The suit doesn't accuse Trump of any abuse. All right, well, that's interesting, the date, the mid-90s. So we know that Trump and Epstein were hanging out in the mid-90s, so that lends credibility to this young lady's statement right off the bat, in my opinion. All right, so we know that they were friendly. And we know that they had a falling out in like 2003. We also know that Donald Trump moved in the same circles as Jeffrey Epstein for a long time, right? Billionaires all moved in the same circles in New York. Every single one of these rich people were associating with each other. That's why all you have to do is take a look at the pictures of them all hanging out at parties, and you get a better idea of what these victims were truly up against. The ultimate power structure that was moved on the chessboard against them. All right. The victim met Epstein and his alleged madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, when she was 13 years old, attending Interlochen Arts Camp in Michigan, where she was in the Voice program. The perverted financier, pedophile, and British socialite, pedophile, groomed her for abuse by frequently making references to sex and insisting she indulged their every whim, according to the suit. Epstein first sexually abused the girl toward the end of 1994, according to the suit. She claims she traveled with Epstein and Maxwell on his private jet. Well, that all fits the MO of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? That all fits his MO. That all fits the things that he used to do. Okay? He would bring in these young little girls, he'd groom them, and then he'd abuse them. And then he'd have such mind control over them, they would think it's okay that they're going out to bring other girls to bring them back into Jeffrey Epstein's orbit. That's how that's how well he was able to manipulate the situation, and that's how well really it was Ghislaine Maxwell who was doing behind manipulating these young girls. Like I've said from the beginning, folks, all right, Epstein was a brute, and Ghislaine Maxwell, she certainly was the brains and the finesse behind the operation, in my opinion. Epstein abused her at his Upper East Side mansion, home in Palm Beach, and ranch in New Mexico, according to the suit. Again, another one of these girls abused in New Mexico, and nobody has raided this ranch yet. You know, you see those giant smoke plumes coming from New Mexico? Yeah, that's them burning all of the evidence. I mean, are you kidding me? Can you imagine the treasure trove of evidence that would have been found at Zorro Ranch if they would have raided it like they would have with anybody else? I wonder why they didn't raid it. What were they hiding? In 1997, Epstein raped her for the first of many times, the suit says. Jesus Christ. Ay. Absolutely, positively disgusting. Like I said, folks, when I read this stuff, when I'm done, I feel like I should dump 10 bottles of bleach on myself. It absolutely disgusts me. This man absolutely disgusts me. And you know what else disgusts me? All the people that enabled his behavior by giving him the credibility of letting him run in their circles. Absolutely abhorrent and unforgivable. The woman seeks a cut of Epstein's $577 million estate. Good, she should seek a cut of that. More than 15 other victims have filed similar federal suits against the notorious sex offender's estate. The executors of Epstein's estate have proposed an optional out-of-court claims program for people seeking damages from his $577 million fortune. That's such a low ball as well. $577 million, huh? I think you're going to have to add some zeros to that. I'm pretty sure that Jeffrey Epstein had some money squirreled away. This doesn't seem like the kind of guy that wouldn't have some stuff on the stash just in case. This is a guy who had an Austrian passport, okay? This is a guy who ran in the kind of circles where if he wanted to disappear, he could disappear. Just take a look at his good friend Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein, 66, killed himself in a Manhattan federal lockup while awaiting trial for sex trafficking charges. Allegedly, Maxwell has adamantly denied wrongdoing. But guess what? Nobody believes you, all right? Ghislaine, nobody believes anything you have to say. In my opinion, you are as big of a monster as Jeffrey Epstein. A timeline of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. Manhattan prosecutors have said they continue to investigate Epstein's enablers. Trump and Epstein partied in the same social circles in the 1980s and 1990s, but had a falling out in the early 2000s over a real estate dispute, according to reports. I was not a fan of his, and I can tell you, Trump said after Epstein was arrested last year. Look, and like I said, I'm not sitting here and saying Trump was, engaging in the same activities as Alan Dershowitz was. But what I will say is this: I'm not going to sit here and defend Trump from enabling Jeffrey Epstein and scorch earth of other people. Trump is just a normal man like everybody else, folks. Puts his pants on the same way you and I do, and he makes mistakes. He's not above criticism, just like no president is above criticism. And I think that him hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely, positively disgusting, okay? I think anybody hanging out with Epstein, it was disgusting. And even more so though, if you hung out with him after the conviction, then you have zero excuse, okay? If the people that hung out with Epstein prior to him being convicted at least can use the argument, we didn't know. And while we might not believe them, how can you prove that? Unless evidence comes out, obviously, of them being involved in one of these treasure troves of document dumps that we're hoping to get. Besides that, we can have suspicions, but it's not what we think, folks. It's what we can prove, right? So all I have to say is everybody who enabled this man is just reprehensible, in my opinion. There is no reason under that I can even think of why anybody with any even just a smidgen of morality would hang out with Jeffrey Epstein after he was convicted. All right? And before he was convicted, look, I can't prove it, but come on. These are all very rich people. You don't think there's talk in their circles about what was going on? You don't think other people that went to Epstein's parties was talking to the rest of these guys about what was going on? Like it was an understood wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of situation? Come on, folks. I'm not that naive. Or maybe I'm just too cynical. But I refuse to believe that everybody was so deaf, dumb, and blind that they had no idea that Jeffrey Epstein was running the biggest trafficking ring that we have ever seen. All right? I'm sorry. I guess call me cynical if you want, but I refuse to believe that. All right, folks, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI. If you would like to help support the podcast get out to places like Santa Fe in the future, you can do that by clicking on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. All right, everybody, I will be back tomorrow for a daily drop and a morning update. Enjoy your Friday night, and please be safe. No drinking and driving, please. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow.